This is Rummy's Corner. On January 24th, 1976, former heavyweight world champion Big George Foreman took on former title challenger Lyle in an absolute clash for the ages. It had been over a year since Foreman had lost the championship against Muhammad Ali, and it was less than a year since Lyle suffered a stoppage loss against the very same Ali in his failed bid for the crown. This was perceived as a crossroads fight between two hard-hitting heavyweights who were on a collision course. Most observers were expecting an exciting slugfest, and that is exactly what they were about to get. Just moments before the action was about to get underway, George Foreman and Lyle had a serious, intense stare down during their face-off while referee Charlie Roth was delivering his pre-fight instructions. When the action got underway, Foreman and Lyle went through a customary feeling out process. Both boxers were showing each other a great deal of respect, and things began with both fighters trying to find the range to establish the jab. It was a high-intensity atmosphere, and both fighters began finding the mark. Lyle was trying to mix things up beyond his jab, which produced a couple of nice opening exchanges. As the round was nearing its end, Lyle landed a crushing overhand right that staggered the former champion. Foreman tried to hold on, but Lyle unloaded furiously, trying to finish off his wounded foe. Foreman did launch a nice uppercut as he was pushed up against the ropes, and then he was able to grab on after this. But he still appeared visibly unsteady, and when the two fought free, Lyle proceeded with his attack and had Big George reeling across the ring before the bell finally sounded to end the round. Foreman strided back to his corner, looking dazed and shook. Lyle came roaring out to start the second and missed with a wild shot as things got underway. He seemed determined to find a way to land another monster shot, but Foreman started snapping his jab out and also began opening up a little more with some crisp combinations of his own. About a minute into the round, Lyle landed another big right, which ignited a high-intensity exchange that saw both fighters trading hard shots. They continued trading, and in the midst of their battle, Foreman found the mark with a big left that staggered Lyle. Foreman marched forward, and cool as an assassin, Foreman began methodically unleashing a series of big, hard punches. One after another, Foreman was throwing big straight punches with both hands, and they were frequently nailing the mark. It was a patient, vicious barrage from the former champion, who soon began mixing in some hooks and uppercuts for good measure. Lyle was backed into a corner, and somehow he was enduring this prolonged onslaught while remaining on his feet and sometimes firing back. When the bell sounded to end the round, Foreman and Lyle once again engaged in another mean stare down. Due to a timekeeper error, that round had only actually lasted 2 minutes instead of 3. To start the third, Lyle started focusing more on the body, and he landed some solid shots downstairs. The back and forth action resumed, where two hard punchers were both looking to land the fight-ending blow. Foreman once again got Lyle backed into a corner, and he started mixing in some body shots of his own. Lyle remained pinned in the corner for some time without doing much, before finally firing off some punches, several which were landing flush on Big George. Lyle remained in that corner for the rest of the round, doing his best impression of the rope-a-dope, where most of the offense was coming from Foreman. Early in the fourth, both fighters were trading jabs when Lyle snuck in another big right that stopped Foreman in his tracks. Moments later, Lyle opened up with a big combination that sent Foreman timbering down to the canvas. Foreman beat the count, and Lyle moved in for the finish, but Foreman was able to intelligently hold on. Foreman was able to bide his time just long enough to clear his head, but he soon found himself in the midst of another blazing firefight. The two boxers traded furiously, and Lyle seemed to be getting the better of the exchanges. But then suddenly, Foreman landed a short sequence of menacing blows, which sent Lyle crashing down. Lyle appeared to be seriously hurt, but somehow he managed to beat the count, and when action resumed, Foreman moved in for the finish. Big George found his range, and he began peppering Lyle with one shot after another. Foreman then began firing off some mean left hooks, and all of a sudden, the fireworks had started yet again, as the two boxers began brutally slugging it out. It was becoming a war, with neither man backing down, and both men swinging for the fences. Both combatants had more or less dismissed any notion of defense at this point in the fight. All of a sudden, Lyle started tagging Foreman with a series of clubbing shots that had Big George down on the canvas once again. And this time, Foreman appeared to be badly hurt. Foreman slowly rose to his feet, and he beat the count, and the round was over. The fifth round predictably started with more fireworks, as the two warriors continued administering grueling punishment upon one another with frightening regularity. Not long into the round, Lyle blasted Foreman with a big left. Foreman staggered and nearly went down before Lyle opened up with another effective attack. The action that was unfolding was nothing short of astounding, and Foreman incredibly once again began firing back and trading with Lyle. About halfway through the round, Lyle nailed Foreman with a snappy-looking uppercut, and Big George was hurt yet again. Foreman somehow remained on his feet, and he began firing back. Then Foreman blasted Lyle with a clubbing shot that sent him stumbling into the ropes. Lyle was being held up by the ropes, and he looked like he was out. Foreman looked exhausted, but somehow he mustered the energy to unleash a steady flurry of punches, right hands and left hands, all heavily crashing into Lyle with frightening frequency. Lyle eventually slumped over from the onslaught as Foreman continued clubbing away, literally beating Lyle down into the canvas. Lyle was down, he was rocked, and he would not be beating the count. Referee Charlie Roth counted him out for the 10 count, and George Foreman had just beaten Ron Lyle by 5th round knockout. There have been many great wars and countless epic battles in the rich history of professional boxing. But out of all the wars, and all the slugfests, and all the epic battles that ever took place, few can match the intensity, the drama, and the non-stop crowd-pleasing action that was produced by the classic clash between George Foreman and Ron Lyle. This is Rummy's Corner. Thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned for more classic fight recaps in the future. Thank you for watching, and good night.